Hi, it's Annette from Opening Doors with me. Another great week of great podcasts and great guests. I have the pleasure of having you in studio. And I always say you or I say your first name because I think it's so important that you get to introduce yourself. Because when I say Annette Compo, it sounds so different than when you say it. So tell us who you are and where you're from.
All right. Well, thanks for having me, Annette. My name is Keith Kampe. I'm a mortgage loan officer at Flagstar Bank. I have been in the industry just over 17 years now, and originally from Rochester Hills, Michigan.
Love that.
And I went away to University of Cincinnati for a couple of years, came back and finished up at Oakland University, and then I've been in the Metro Detroit area ever since.
Nice.
So,
Well, it's fun, Keith, because, I've got to know you being in the industry, and obviously you're one of our preferred vendors for our real estate team, helping our customers. So thank you for that. And it's fun when I do the podcast because I get to hear things I don't normally have known. There's always something that surprises me, even the ones I've been friends with forever, and they've been vendors, or preferred, helpers in our business. But you came right out of the chute. Like I had no idea you went to the University of Cincinnati.
right. There's
That's
always
fun.
something.
What
The
pulled you to
Bearcats.
the Bearcat?
Yeah, the University of Cincinnati Bearcats. So many years ago, I was athletic. I actually played college baseball there. So that's where.
So you're a baseball player.
Yeah, I was a baseball player.
Another good
So,
trivia.
yeah.
Didn't know that either. Okay.
So I grew up in a sports family. My father, he's the longtime basketball coach at Oakland University. He's been there.
That's great. You're just dropping trivia bombs.
It's good, right? He's been there. He's actually the longest tenured coach in college basketball. So he's been there for, I think this is his 43rd or something year. So
Okay, we have to have him on the podcast.
right, we'll get him next time. He's way more
Okay.
interesting than me. But
Oh no, I know you, Keith, but that's pretty cool. So you've got some great heritage of sports leadership.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Love that.
And that's kind of been, me being in the mortgage industry, kind of taking that, the sports, what I learned from that and applying that in my business has been, very helpful.
Yeah, it's one of the things that, I had Trevor, my son, my business partner, on the podcast, and he has his own podcast as well, as you know, is that he talks a lot about football. And the reasons why, he loved the game, he loved playing the game, but it was that brotherhood, that team experience that he had, that he shares a lot in regards to how he does his business and how that leadership development has become an intricate part of the language of how, he handles his clients. So it's interesting that you kind of are leading into that conversation as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can relate to that. Just the team mentality and sports and, working hard and putting the hours and the effort in to be successful. Practice makes perfect. So it goes a long way in sports with life as well.
Well, when you're on a sports team, everyone is interconnected or interdependent on each other, right? Because you're trying to get to the finish line. Of course, you're hoping for a win, right? In baseball or football or any sports. And in the real estate industry, it's very similar. A person decides that they're going to buy a house or they're going to sell their house and they're going to buy another house. They're not the experts in it. So they reach out to a real estate agent or a mortgage lender and say, hey, I need to build a team. Right. They don't say that, but that's what they're doing, right? They're building a team to get them across the finish line to meet their housing goals. So I can see that there's a lot of similarities in our industry of being in lending and real estate that has to do with sports.
Yeah.
And it also is kind of funny too, because I think you can take sports and use it in any analogy of life. It's like I'm at halftime, I'm getting yelled at in the locker room. I got to figure out why my business isn't doing what it's supposed to be doing, and I want to do another play, in third quarter. So it's kind of funny how we use sports as an analogy for business.
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about personally. You have some exciting news just recently as well. So beautiful wife.
Yep. I'm out of my league with my wife, so I did really well there. I got lucky.
So you married up.
I did. Definitely married up. So that's all doing good. I have 3 kids. I have a 7-year-old son who's right now he's playing football and baseball, the 2 sports we were just talking about.
Yeah, the apple doesn't fall far from the trees.
So we're back in that. I'm coach pitching. I actually threw my back out last week doing that. So
how you doing?
Yeah, feeling better now. I can actually walk a little bit. So
not to make fun of you, but you at the sales meeting on Tuesday, I was laughing so hard. You were like a robot. I thought you were going to do like the.
Yeah, that's what I felt like. So went to the chiropractor. They got me feeling a little better now. So But yeah, so I have my son, I have my daughter. She's 4. She wants to be a princess. I've taken her to Disney for her birthday in a couple months. So we're really excited about that.
That will be fun.
And then I have a newborn son he's 6 months now. So
nice. Sleeping through the night?
He's still in our room. So
okay.
Luckily I'm the heavy sleeper. So I don't, I sleep through a lot of it, but that's good. Always third time, so we're used to it now. So
nice. I love to ask people what their big why is, right? Why do we do the things that we do? And it's your family. Your big why is your family and providing, that opportunity. And, my real estate clients, when they have done business with you, just unbelievable accolades of how you take care of them. And one of the last clients, it was almost like they were part of your family. Right. You just was that hand holding through that process. And I'm just so appreciative that, you have that mentality, the same mentality of how I've grown my business, for 30 plus years. Right.
And likewise, they say the same things about you as well. And, just having that, buying a house, it's a very stressful time. You have all the stuff on the real estate side, you got getting the loan, providing the paperwork, why do we need these documents? I don't think anyone enjoys the mortgage process. So just trying to, explain, different options that might fit for different clients and different programs, and equipping them with the different options, and they can choose the best, loan for their situation. So that's kind of what I focus on.
And that's huge. And I think one of the things I want to talk about tonight is the VA process. Okay. There is a lot of, I hope you don't mind.
Yeah, no.
I know you have all great products, and we'll get to those because I'm excited about the one you guys just rolled out. But the VA product, I have such a passion for it. One is that the people that qualify for the VA product are veterans, right? And of course, my family, my dad was World War II, really instilled what that meant to me, what it means to my family. And it's really important to me to make sure that we know the product the best, right? Because no different than a first-time home buyer or anyone else, they don't walk in there saying, oh, I want a VA product, right? They walk in and you ask the questions to see what products that they potentially can qualify for. Right. And the veteran program is far down the best program if you can qualify for 100%. It based on your service. So if I was a veteran, let's just walk through, what does that look like? How do I gain access to that benefit?
Sure. So, first we have to check your eligibility. So, based on your service, how many years of service, were you honorably discharged? We order, it's called a certificate of occupancy or a certificate of eligibility. And then we go to the VA and they come back and they'll say, yes, this person, has fulfilled that, whether it's the Army, Navy, Reserves, active duty. So
Marines, they all qualify.
Correct. All qualify. Normally it's like 2 years of service, but there's some certain, that's why we go to them. That's the first thing we do as a lender is we check that.
So Air Force, CBs, they all are part of that program.
Correct. Yes. So if we can get the certificate of eligibility, now we know that we're good. And now we know that they have access to that product, which I can kind of go through a little bit how that compares to.
Love it.
Right. So, as a veteran, the down payment is 0, where in your other programs like FHA, for example, you need 3.5% down, conventional normally 5%. So the VA loan allows you the 0 down option, which is awesome.
No
right?
money.
So no money down. And then the other main benefit is that you don't have to pay private mortgage insurance, which is called PMI in the lender verbiage. And that's an additional monthly payment that you make in the FHA or the conventional loans that can be really hundreds of dollars a month, depending on your loan size. So,
well, in PMI, some people don't even know what that means. Like we say it's private mortgage insurance, but the average individual has no concept. And of course, for me, when I learned about it early on in my career, it's like, well, that makes no sense. I'm buying insurance, ensuring the mortgage holder that if I go defunct, they'll get reimbursed for a portion of what's still owed on the mortgage.
Correct.
But the borrower is the one who pays it.
Correct. But unless it's a VA loan. So that's like your main benefit.
It's completely wiped off the.
Correct. So that's, again, that's hundreds of dollars a month you're going to have that you don't have to pay that as a veteran. And then, that is, you also do get a below market interest rate compared to the other products as well.
When you say below market interest rate, what are we talking about? So like,
Mhm.
obviously, let's just say hypothetically, 'cause we're not going to talk about interest rates today.
Mhm.
But let's just say hypothetically, the interest rate was at 5.25.
Mhm.
What is there like a percentage difference that VA will get? Is like a 1/4% or a half a
Right.
percent?
Great question. So it does depend a little bit on the credit score as well. So there's
Okay.
some risk adjustments based on credit score, but assuming top tier credit, and there's different. It's hard to explain. There's different spreads with conventional rates that they're moving. So like today, for example, you're about a 0.5% below a conventional loan
So
rate
it's
being in VA.
substantial.
So on a $300,000 mortgage, that's about $250 a month
That
just from the
is
interest rate. And then also add in maybe you don't have a $250 PMI payment. So we're talking,
that's 500,
$500 a month,
$600.
correct.
Yeah.
So significant benefits. And then, when you work with like someone like Annette or a good realtor, when rates are higher, sometimes you're able to get, negotiate the seller to cover closing costs, right? Because there are out of pocket closing costs that you have to pay in, VA, conventional, and FHA. So, one of the opportunities right now in the current market, and it's different everywhere, but a lot of times you can, negotiate the seller to chip in and cover that. And we've had veterans get into houses recently with literally needing no money out of pocket. So,
That's
I mean, it's a
amazing.
very powerful loan program as far as the payment and the out of pocket to get the deal done.
So if you have served in our for our government in the Army, military, any of the military brands, you need to, and you're thinking about buying a house or you're thinking about selling a house and buying another one, and you've never used your eligibility, and you never even knew you had the eligibility, please reach out to us because this is such an incredible product, and only people that are veterans get to use it,
Mhm.
and which is amazing. And Keith, you said you will help them through the eligibility letter and
Correct. Right. We'll figure it out on the lender side, what you can qualify for. Can you get the VA loan? And then, how much of a house we tailor based on what you guys are comfortable with your monthly payments and, getting you into that price point and trying to minimize the out of pocket cash.
So obviously, knowing and understanding what the client's needs are is probably what I consider one of your competitive advantages. So whenever I talk about when you're going to call them or one of the 3 people that we recommend, I always say that they're always going to ask you a series of questions. Be patient. They're asking you those questions because they're technically looking at this mass spreadsheet of all the different products that are out there, the cost and which ones are the most cost effective, and the ones, if you qualify, will be the less amount of down payment, sometimes the lower insurance. And then, of course, we always have the situations where credit may have been bruised because of whatever happened, medical, divorce, whatever. And we have those types of products as well. And then what's really super cool, not to talk probably what you should be saying, is that you actually will help and guide people to understand that maybe someone comes in and says, well, I have $50,000, but you're like, well, you don't need to put all $50,000. That extra 10 grand isn't really going to benefit your interest rate, really not going to affect your payment that much. It might make better sense to invest that money and have it working for you than just throwing it on the house.
Correct.
And I love that about those services that you offer.
Right. That's what I was saying. You give options, right? So some people want to bring more money in and just have the lowest payment. Others, sometimes it makes sense to keep that liquidity, right? If you have something that happens, a medical situation or a job loss, is it worth it to bring that extra cash reserve in and maybe have your payment be $100 less a month than to have that on the side for an emergency fund? So those are all the things that, we look at and we say, if you were to keep that emergency fund, this would be your payment, this would be the terms, and or vice versa, and give the options.
So how long does it take to be pre-approved?
So great question. So normally we can do it pretty quickly, right? If everything, it depends on the profile of the borrower, right? So if someone's self-employed and has more complex, like I was working with a gentleman the other day, he has 32 businesses that he owns. 32 businesses, and his tax returns are 150 pages, and there's different stuff, and they're all over the place. So those ones, those could take a little longer, right? That's probably not a same day pre-approval, but most of the time, if you're a salary or an hourly or a W-2, it's pretty quick. And also the thing, it doesn't cost anything to take that step, which I think is important, right? There's no you have to pay a fee to get
There's no
pre-approved.
application
Like,
fee or
there's no
credit.
pressure. This is exploratory to see, if you were to buy a house, this is how much money you would need. This is what your payment could be. And even I encourage, even if you're not in the market right now, but it might be 6 months away or a year away, it's still good to look at the picture right now and see, where are we at? Maybe we want to buy a $300,000 house, but right now we only qualify for $250,000. So we have a year before we're planning on doing this. Maybe we can work at, paying some debt down, or, maybe some different things we can work on over the next year to get to that point. Or like you said about the bruised credit, right? It's amazing how we could do a whole podcast for hours on
We
credit
totally
reports.
could.
But like, someone has a, $100 Macy's credit card that they have $100 on. And I've seen that lower someone's credit score to like 660. And then they put $100 on that card. A month later, they're at 760. And that makes a huge amount of difference on the programs and the rates. So it's always good to get in early and have the conversation, because there could be some stuff with credit that we can get out in front of and fix, to get you ready to get a better deal at that point for your mortgage.
Love that. Awesome. Well, there's a tradition here on the podcast. We always ask if there was an opportunity that you could go and meet with a younger version of you, what is the great advice you'd give that person?
Oh,
Well, not that person. It would
right,
be
myself.
You. Yeah, yourself.
Right. Keep doing what you're doing, stay the course, and work hard. Right. You work hard, do right by the customers, and, good things will happen. And that's how I've built my business. And, there's ways that you can go off of that in life, and I didn't do it. And I would just confirm that with my younger self to just stay on that path.
Love that, Keith. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
And thanks for being a great friend. We've even gone to sporting events, which is always fun to see the Pistons play. And so thank you for those opportunities for me and my family.
Yeah. Thank you.
Until next version, we'll see you then.